Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Jess. I talk about writing, self-publishing, and occasionally travel. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that has been bothering me for a while. It's something very personal, and it's something that a lot of you, I'm sure, have experienced yourself, and that is finding your passion after burnout. Now, I didn't really want to make this video, to be completely honest. I've talked about burnout in the past. I've blogged about it. I think I've mentioned it in passing on previous videos, but I don't like to sit down like this in a very informal manner and say, today I'm going to reveal all my insecurities. I don't like to do that, but you know what? I also realize that I'm not the best when it comes to scripted videos. I think for a while I tried a little bit too hard to have a traditional YouTube channel where I was posting on a schedule and I was coming up with themes ahead of time. I was writing down scripts and talking points that I wanted to address. And I realized that that doesn't work for me. And I was trying to make the thing that doesn't work for me work. I think that's the reason why I keep burning out, not just in terms of YouTube content, but in terms of writing in general, being creative in general. Now, I have been writing for a really long time, so this is not my first experience with burnout, as you can imagine. In fact, there was a time in my life when I didn't write for, I think, 2 or 3 years. And when I think about it, that seems really bizarre because writing has pretty much always been in the background or the foreground of my life for as long as I can remember. But I do remember that there was a time when writing was not that important to me. And I didn't feel that constant pressure to tell stories, to work on a project, to have a manuscript on the go. But this feeling of not wanting to write at all, I've had that before. And in the past, my approach to burnout has always been to just push through it. Whenever I've come up against this feeling of not wanting to write, not feeling creative, not having that motivation to sit down and do anything related to my books, like any sort of promotion or marketing or anything like that, I've always sort of believed that it was just laziness. You know, like I always told myself, well, you could if you really wanted to, but you don't want to because you're lazy. And I believed that lie about myself, that I'm lazy, that I'm unmotivated, that I'm not capable for a really long time. And I think writing more than anything has really brought that feeling to the fore. I think I have developed a very unhealthy relationship with productivity because so much of my worth and self-esteem is tied into what I can do and how much I can produce and how quickly I can produce it. Even as I sit here and I record this video, I feel like I have to keep talking and talking and talking and filling all the gaps and keeping the silence at bay. And I can even feel my chest locking up a little bit as I talk about this. It's like the anxiety is kind of pushing forward into me right now, where I'm like, oh my God, keep talking, keep telling them what's going on, like justify it. You know, just make sure they understand, make sure that they connect with this video, make sure that it's worth people's time, and, you know, just keep going. Don't break eye contact with the camera. Don't focus on the traffic outside. And I feel like that constant churning monologue in my head is the exact same voice that tells me, you better start writing another book. It better be the best fucking book you've ever written. Why are you not querying? You need to query. You need to be traditionally published. You're going with self-publishing because you're lazy and dumb and nobody ever wants to read your book. And it is a constant onslaught of criticism. And it's all completely internal. And that's the scary part. The voice in my head that tells me that I'm never gonna write anything good is so incredibly, deafeningly loud. And it's been so hard for me to turn it off lately. And even when I released Compose in January, normally I love doing the promotional stuff after a book is released. I feel like the hardest part is done. Now I can have fun with it. I can create the book trailer. I can create the ebook file. I can translate the book into French, which is what I've been doing for all my series books. And I think maybe I will eventually do that for my other books as well, but that's not really a priority right now. Hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to stay hydrated because I feel like if I don't the anxiety gets worse. I don't know what's going on here, guys. But anyway, normally I would really approach the promotion and the marketing post publication with a lot more zeal and excitement, but I didn't do that. So this video is not really intended to be advice, because I can't offer you advice for how you're going to overcome your burnout, because we're all different. And I think that's because the burnout comes from different sources. For some people it's trauma. For other people it is, as I said, an unhealthy relationship with work and productivity, or anxiety, or whatever it is. But I've also found in the past that I'm not comfortable giving advice. Things that work for me won't necessarily work for you or anyone out there. So this is not a how to overcome burnout video. This is me sitting in front of my camera on a rainy day. What day of the week is it? I don't know. I'm in healthcare. Okay, the days of the week don't exist to me. But whatever. I'm sitting here in front of my camera and I'm talking to you guys about something that is deeply personal to me and almost off limits when it comes to video topics. But here I am. As for the how I overcome burnout, lately, my method is to just not do anything related to writing whatsoever. I just give myself an opportunity to sit with those feelings and let them work themselves out. I basically said for 5 days I wasn't going to write, I wasn't going to outline, I wasn't going to edit, I wasn't going to come up with anything whatsoever. I don't think I touched a single Word document in almost a week. And at first it was kind of overwhelming, if I'm being completely honest. It was like, oh my god, what am I going to do with myself? I have to find another hobby. That's a video for another day altogether. But and then I started to kind of feel that ease and that relaxation, like, okay, I don't have to do anything right now. That's good. I can let myself rest and recuperate. And then on the third day, I started to kind of have some ideas, just, flickering embers, really. Not anything fully fleshed out, nothing that I could actually sit down and pursue, because I still felt like the well is dry, like I'm scraping the dirt on the bottom at this point. And then by day 4, I was like, okay, you know what, I think I can probably come back to this slowly, not plunging headlong into another thing that's also going to burn me out, because this seems to be my cycle these days, is like intense work, burnout, very short recovery, like almost non-existent rest, and then back into something else, rinse and repeat. And then by day 5, I actually did come back to writing a little bit, and I wrote less than a page, but it was okay. And I still felt like I was kind of missing the mark, because when I am on my game, as I like to say, when I feel like I'm saying what needs to be said with the words that are coming out of me, it's natural. It's like a river flows, right? It's like turning on a tap, it just comes out. And I kind of felt like it was just a trickle, just a little bit of a sputter of an idea, but better than nothing. And then this morning I woke up and I said, okay, I'm going to try to write again. And again, I felt that tension in my chest, like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to sit down and write and stare at a blank page. And then I was thinking about this channel, and I thought, well, maybe I'll make a video. And again, I don't know if I can do that. So, yeah, I think that's definitely a sign that something's off. And I have struggled on and off with anxiety for years. I don't know how many years. I know it's been years. I used to have really bad panic attacks probably a decade ago. I think they flared up, and I haven't had one recently, which is great. But I think writing has absolutely been my favorite form of escapism, and not necessarily confronting the things that need to be confronted, So writing itself is a very healthy outlet, and a lot of people say if you're struggling with something, write it out, journal it, and I would be the first one to advocate for that as well. But I think, as with so many things, you can have too much of it. Too much of a good thing is a bad thing, as they say. I've always felt that writing was a thing that I was good at. It was a thing that I was going to be able to sustain indefinitely. At one point I tried to make it into a career, which absolutely made things worse and made me realize that I don't want it to be my career, just because then I will have no choice but to do it. And I'm not the kind of person who can take something that I love so deeply and commercialize it, because I feel like once you start assigning a dollar value to your passion, it loses its true worth. At least to me, that's been true. But you know, I also sort of felt like if I couldn't be good at writing, then what could I be good at? And I like to think that in the past few years since I've changed careers, I think I've found a path that really suits me, you know, working with people, working in healthcare, which was surprising because I never really considered myself to be a people person, but circumstances sometimes force us to grow into the person we're meant to be. And I feel like maybe I've always been meant to be this person. And I like this version of myself, but it's been very hard for me to distance myself from the version of myself that used to write so much and used to be this well brimming with ideas all the time. And I feel like I kind of want to get her back, but I kind of don't, because I sort of feel like maybe this newer version of me, you know, new career that I have, this new life I'm working towards, maybe that's a better fit. And I'm not sure if that means that I won't be writing anymore, or I'll be writing less, or maybe I'll be writing something totally different. But I think maybe I need to step back for longer than 5 days to determine the answer to that question. But this has been a very personal video, and I don't do personal videos, which is funny because I also sort of feel like as I've sat here and I've talked to you guys about this, I feel a little bit more in my element than simply sitting at a desk saying blah 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 blah, here's a list of talking points. I can't do that, guys. I'm sorry. This is why I could not be a TV reporter. The irony of me having a YouTube channel now is not lost on anyone, I'm sure. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. So I don't want to sit here and say, here's an update about the projects I'm working on, because that just seems counterintuitive. But I've decided for one of the projects, I'm going to completely start over. And I'm going to approach it from the standpoint of, I want to write, not I need to write. That's a very crucial difference, especially now. The other one, I think I'm just going to let it be, because I think not that I'm not qualified to write that story. You know, like, what does that even mean when people say that's not your story to write? Like, nobody has any sort of ownership over stories, but anyway. But the other one's gonna need a little bit more time to marinate in my mind, I think. So we'll see what happens. This is not me giving up on everything. This is not me walking away and saying I'm done, see you later, or see you never again. This is just me coming clean and kind of sitting down and confronting the thing that scares me the most. Anyway, guys, I think I'm done here for now. You know, I don't want to quit entirely. I'm not a quitter. But thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for bearing with me. And you know what? It's actually starting to look like an okay day outside. So maybe that's a sign of good things to come. Alright, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.